Imagine this. You open your eyes to the soft glow of dawn, only to realize the familiar vibration of your smartphone alarm never comes. You reach for the bedside lamp and flick the switch, yet nothing happens. No light, no hum from the ceiling fan, not even the comforting drip of the faucet. The silence is deafening. Without thinking, you swipe at a black screen, and the reality sinks in. In a world where technology has simply vanished, the simplest morning routines become impossible. That startling moment is our hook, because it forces us to confront a dependence we rarely question. In today's hyper-connected world, nearly every part of daily life is mediated by electronics. Roughly 4.66 billion people, more than half of humanity, use the internet and benefit from it. We use digital platforms to wake us up, to turn on the lights, to pump water, to navigate traffic, and even to remember birthdays and appointments. Yet this convenience comes with a hidden cost. We have outsourced both our physical infrastructure and our cognitive habits to technology. A 2023 psychological study found that many adolescents believe they are unable to do almost anything without digital technology and store nearly all their documents, memories, and contact information on digital devices. Reliance on digital tools reduces the need to commit information to long-term memory and may diminish creativity. In essence, technology has become an external extension of our brains. What happens when that extension suddenly disappears? The first morning, shock and disorientation. Our story begins at home. Without a smartphone alarm, many of us oversleep. When we finally rise, we stumble into the bathroom to discover that the water and gas lines do not work because modern utility systems rely on computerized controls. There is no hot shower, no electric toothbrush, no coffee maker to brew a morning cup. We throw on clothes and head outside, only to find that cars built in the past 3 decades refuse to start because their engine control units require electricity. Traffic lights are dark, public transport is stalled, and the option to order a ride is gone. We walk. Day 1, a glimpse of regression. At work, the usual hum of computers and screens is replaced by confusion. There are no emails, no online calendars, no digital customer records. You consider sending a letter by post, but postal systems operate slowly and may not even function. Food in the refrigerator begins to spoil, and lunch becomes whatever non-perishable items remain. Evening entertainment consists of reading by candlelight or playing an acoustic instrument. Universities grind to a halt, hospitals cannot access digital medical records, and airlines are grounded. Even in this first day, society begins to regress. One business association warns that without technology, our economy would fall back at least 50 years. The first week, fragility of infrastructure. The situation deteriorates quickly. Within 24 hours of losing technology, banking systems and phone networks collapse. A 2016 thought experiment in BBC Science Focus predicted that if the internet stopped working, almost all businesses would grind to a halt because banks, telephone, and mobile networks rely on internet-based systems. Without digital communication, stock markets cannot trade, ATMs cannot dispense cash, and supply chains freeze. Trust, the currency of modern finance, evaporates. By the end of the first week, the impact on energy infrastructure becomes catastrophic. The same BBC experiment noted that national electric grids depend on internet connections to coordinate power plants. Without these control signals, the grids would become unbalanced, leading to regional or national blackouts. Gas pipelines, also controlled by digital systems, shut down. When lights go out and heat disappears, our comfortable homes become cold caves. We suddenly realize that technology is the lifeblood of our energy supplies. After a month, supply chains collapse. 1 month into this technological void, the failures cascade into every sector. Petrol stations cannot pump fuel because their pumps and payment systems require electricity and digital connections. Supermarkets, reliant on fuel and just-in-time logistics, cannot deliver food. Shelves remain empty and perishable goods rot. Without fuel, emergency services and the military struggle to respond. They too rely on digital logistics. As resources dwindle, riots erupt around distribution depots, forcing governments to deploy troops, but the troops lack supplies. People begin to revert to subsistence farming and bartering, and urban centers start to empty. The comfortable world of next-day delivery collapses within weeks. The first year, a global collapse. After a year, the world is barely recognizable. The BBC scenario predicted that some countries might rebuild basic landline networks, while others would revert to agrarian subsistence. Without coordinated transportation or medical systems, starvation and disease spread. The death toll could reach 1 billion people, and the global economy would fall back to 1930s levels. In the words of historian Timothy Garton Ash, reflecting on the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the crust of civilization on which we tread is always wafer thin. One tremor and you've fallen through, scratching and gouging for your life like a wild dog. Without technology, that tremor becomes an earthquake. The psychological vacuum. Beyond infrastructure, the psychological shock of losing technology cannot be understated. Our sense of identity is entangled with digital devices. The aforementioned study on adolescents described a high degree of dependence on digital technology. Participants believed they could do almost nothing without it. They stored personal documents and contact information exclusively on devices, forgetting the risk of losing them. Moreover, relying on technology reduces the need to remember information, so when the devices vanish, our memory and creativity suffer. Socially, digital platforms shape how we interact. Adolescents reported neglecting face-to-face relationships and using devices even in someone's company, causing conflict. In a world without phones or social media, many would feel lost, isolated, and anxious. The hidden upsides. Rediscovery of simplicity. Yet, amid the chaos, there could be moments of rediscovery. Stripped of screens, we would be forced to engage directly with our environment. People might learn to read the sky to predict weather instead of checking an app. We would cook meals from scratch, mend our clothes, tend gardens and animals, and rediscover crafts and music. Without endless notifications, our attention spans could lengthen, and conversations might become deeper. The absence of algorithms could lessen polarization and reduce the constant comparison to curated online identities. Communities might grow stronger as neighbors rely on one another for skills, food, and protection. Without global supply chains, local economies could flourish. Artisans and farmers would become central again. Children would play in fields rather than watching videos, and families might tell stories by the fire. Our health might improve from more physical activity and less screen time. Many of these benefits are, in fact, the motivation behind digital detox movements. People voluntarily disconnect to regain focus and mental health. However, these benefits would be accompanied by severe hardship. We cannot romanticize the scenario without acknowledging the staggering human cost. Lessons and takeaways. This thought experiment is not meant to scare for the sake of entertainment. Rather, it highlights the fragility of our technological ecosystem and the importance of resilience. Our infrastructure must be designed with redundancy, microgrids, local food systems, and manual overrides, so that a single failure does not cascade into collapse. Households should keep backups of vital documents on paper, learn basic skills such as first aid and gardening, and have emergency supplies. Governments and companies should invest in robust offline contingencies for critical services like healthcare and energy. We also need to reevaluate our personal relationship with technology. Are we using these tools to augment our abilities, or are we letting them replace our thinking? Practicing digital literacy, understanding how systems work and how to protect ourselves, will empower us when things go wrong. Regular digital detoxes remind our brains to store information and engage in the real world. Teaching children to memorize phone numbers, cook, repair items, and think critically ensures that they are not helpless without a screen. Ultimately, the scenario of technology disappearing overnight is unlikely, but smaller disruptions are already happening. Cyber attacks, blackouts, supply chain breakdowns, and misinformation campaigns. By imagining an extreme case, we can better prepare for real-world challenges. Our civilization's thin crust is sustained by billions of wires, chips, and algorithms. To protect it, we must recognize our vulnerability, diversify our capabilities, and appreciate the simplicity that lies beneath the complexity. So what if you met a world without technology? You would wake to silence, stumble in the dark, and walk along deserted roads. There would be fear, frustration, and unimaginable loss. But there would also be an opportunity to rediscover human connection, creativity, and resilience. Let this thought experiment be a call not to reject technology, but to use it wisely. Technology should be a tool that empowers us, not a crutch that renders us helpless. Preparing for the unthinkable ensures we can continue to thrive even when the lights go out.